My name is Ashok, and I'm responsible for managing the partner and digital sales business for CA Technologies for the Asia Pacific and Japan region. Before that, I used to look after the digital transformation business for CA in APJ, and so I've been working with a number of customers and partners trying to promote the concept of digital transformation and using the modern software factory as a blueprint to help customers and partners instantiate some of their digital transformation initiatives.
So in India, every software vendor is talking about digital transformation. So what is CA's unique proposition in this space?
That's true. I think whether you take governments or organizations in multiple industries, they're all going through a pretty fundamental change, and this change is coming about for multiple reasons. It could be because of the proliferation of mobile devices, smartphones in particular. It could be because of the growth in cloud-based applications, as well as just making sure that you're driving to a better user experience. And the consequence of that has been that businesses have to rewrite a lot of their processes, the products and services that they take to the end consumer in a digital sort of play. Banking does not need to be in a branch. Ticketing does not need to be at a counter, and so on and so forth. So there are numerous examples which convey that the way a particular service is taken to a customer to the end user is through digital means. So what that means is it cannot just be at the last point of exchange. Every single step along the process has to be digitized, and that's the core behind digital transformation. Now, where does CA come into play? We've been riding pretty much the technology curve all the way from mainframe to the time where we've come to mobile and cloud. And so we're intimately familiar with how organizations have set up their, mission critical applications as well as their customer facing and external facing applications. So when it comes to being able to bridge or, manage the complexity of a hybrid IT environment, some people call it a two-speed IT. We are probably the best positioned in terms of being able to address that. We do this through multiple means. We give them agile platforms to develop code. We give insights and automation. How do you write code faster, test code better, and deploy it faster? And then how do you extract insights on applications, the way the applications are used, how the infrastructure is performing, and how perhaps the network itself is performing, and all this with an underpinning of security. So this becomes our unique approach to helping organizations, embark on their digital transformation journey. But we must acknowledge that it's a journey. It's not something that takes place in 3 to 6 months. It's a lot. Big, respectable organizations have taken multiple years, and I think we've been walking this journey along with them and learning as well as contributing over the years. So I think we feel that we're in a good place to be able to advise a lot of customers on how to do it.
So enterprises seems to believe that there's an app for every issue. So isn't there an app overload on CXOs today?
Well, I guess there's a different way. We look at it as in a sort of positive sense. What we say is every business is being rewritten by software. Now, the definition of app is different. A line of code could be an app. A million-line piece of code could be an app. But the fact of the matter is, you've got basic pieces of functionality that needs to somehow come together in order to deliver a certain requirement. So it's not about having too many apps. It's about having a streamlined process. Whether it's a selling motion or a marketing motion or a manufacturing or a distribution motion. As long as you've got a process that's well defined, what you use to govern it and how you make sure that it is delivered through a mashup of applications is really what a CIO's challenge is. It could be a lot of apps, potentially, and that could be a problem. As we move more and more to a microservices-based architecture, the problem is only going to get even more exacerbated if organizations or CIOs don't know how to manage that complexity. So I would look at it as saying there is going to be a need and a proliferation for more functionality to be written in smaller fragments, whether it's microservices or APIs or just applications or applets. But the fact of the matter is this has to be managed and to be able to be packaged and presented to the end consumer in a way that is both safe, secure, and useful.
So when it comes to app management, how can a CIO balance access and control?
First of all, you've got to make sure that it's being developed. It's really a management of the life cycle of from the point of time of when you determine what it is that is going to be written, all the way up until the point of when it's going to be quote end of life. Now, so therefore, you've got to have a fairly robust way of being able to understand what the catalog of applications are, who's writing it, who's allowed to access it. So there is, from a CA's point of view, we believe that you've got to be able to give the development community the access to be able to develop, write code. It could be internal or as well as external, but you need a robust access management layer. We have what we call as privileged access management that enables that. We've also got an API gateway which ensures that your communication to the external world is regulated before you allow them to come into your sort of innovation hub or your joint development platforms. So those kinds of mechanisms are in place, which CA has some industry leading applications, which we've done with federal governments, with banks, and other leading organizations who are very, very particular about security of their assets. So CIOs need to be able to catalog, put a management process around the life cycle of these, but make sure that they understand who's writing it, catalog it, and then build an access management system which is able to regulate this process seamlessly.
And what is driving the API business?
What is driving the API business is it's the other way around. I think it's really what is possible with API business, right? APIs are fundamentally disrupting industries. They are throwing up business models which previously didn't exist. It's the ability to take various services from multiple companies. And I, as an independent developer, can now come up with a whole new service that to you as a consumer did not exist, let's say 3 months ago. So it's just the sheer power of being able to take business logic that originates from multiple businesses, mash it all up together as a service, and serve it easily up in the form of an app, which is quick as well as extremely useful. So that's what is really generating the growth of APIs. Everybody is recognizing that, in order for their organization to be relevant in the future, they need to be able to participate. In the old days, let's say when everybody said they need to have a web portal and a website, so consumers could come online. It was okay if it was just for informational purposes. But today, unless you're able to do commerce on the web portal, you're not relevant. You're not a part of the economy. That's really the issue here. So if you don't have the ability to participate in a mashed up, API driven economy, then you're left out essentially of the business. And that's really why people are clamoring, exposing sort of APIs to be able to make sure that their organization is relevant in the new in the API economy.
And what functionalities and trends we will see with respect to apps in the near future?
What functionality? I think there's going to be it's a broad question, but let me try and simplify it. There's going to be an element of API discovery that's going to make it easier for developers to write APIs quickly. The ability to extract logic from systems is today still cumbersome. That process, I believe, is going to be simplified. There will be elements of artificial intelligence and machine learning that's going to be infused into it, so that the discovery and the learning aspects is going to make APIs a lot more powerful. I do believe that APIs and microservices will go together, and that's going to continue to be a factor to take into account, into consideration as we move forward. And I think just the ease of being able to assemble this is going to be more and more convenient and user friendly.